So Jesse, we're recording. You went to, or you were at a homeschool meeting, and you end up having this conversation about a conference because obviously you and I see this going there, and it's going to go there. So for those early listeners, buckle up because we're going big places here. But I made the joke that you and I are going to be the whatever of this space, right?
Yeah.
The Tony Robbins of this space, and that sparked a conversation that you had with this lady. So tell me the story about this and your thought on it, because I think it's going to be good stuff.
Yeah. So I was telling you before we recorded, and I'm going to start it all over for the listeners. I was at a homeschool event for my son, and I'm wearing a Philip Anthony Mitchell hoodie of his 2819 church. And this gal goes, "Oh, did you go to the men's conference?" I had no idea what she was talking about. I don't really know her. I've met her a half dozen times, to a dozen maybe, but never any real conversations. And I was like, "No, this is Philip Anthony Mitchell, pastor on Instagram." And she's like, "I think I know who that is." I was like, "It's just one of his hoodies." And she's like, "Oh, I thought it was from this men's conference that was me and my husband went to because they had a section for women and men." She's like, "It was so good. We got so much out of it." And I was like, "Well, what was one of like the nuggets?" And she's like, "Well, it was men. They had us all, the two speakers had us all women in a room, and they were telling us how like we should approach our husband and how he receives things and how they receive these things that are negative and these things that are positive, and how we should be approaching them to be like soft and feminine." And it's like, totally agree. But can I ask you a question? Because I think that's more step two than like the root cause. And she's like, "Yeah, what is it?" And I was like, "Now I don't know you or your husband, but if I were to guess, when you guys were dating, you were very feminine, you were soft, you were peaceful, you were in a more nurturing state. And I bet you he was in his masculine, he was pursuing you relentlessly. He was taking care of everything. He was the one setting the dates, the times, the place, picking you up, opening the doors, the whole nine. Then life starts to happen because it's all fun and exciting when you're dating. Life starts to happen. You guys get married. There's bills, responsibility, children. And slowly he's putting his bricks from his pack into yours. You're carrying all the weight of the home. You're getting frustrated. You're short tempered. You're being very direct. You're being assertive. You're being masculine. And she just kind of looked at me like with this blank stare and was like, "How do you know about my marriage?" And I was like, "I told you I don't." But I feel like that needs to be addressed because isn't the way a woman communicates a reflection of the leadership, whether it's poor or good, the way
That's
she
where
communicates with him?
that's what we try and hammer down all the time. Like I get these soft baby men in my comment sections anytime I post something like this, like along these lines. Hey man, it's your freaking responsibility. And they're like, yeah, but she, and it's the biggest frustration because taking ownership is where it starts. And dudes don't do that. I didn't do it forever. You didn't do it forever. And so it's interesting that at a men's conference where you would have the best opportunity to explain to men, hey, the reason why there's friction between you and your wife is because you sold her that you were a first round draft pick. And then she took all of her resources and she drafted you number one, gave you the contract. And then you JaMarcus Russelled it. Like you just stopped playing. You just got fat and lazy and you took all of your responsibility and put it on somebody else. Like, I don't want to watch film. You watch film and tell me what it says. I don't want to pursue you. You tell us where we're eating tonight. Just little minute details turn into and snowball into I'm taking all my responsibility and I'm going to put it on you. And then I'm going to really be upset that you're not nice to me, that you're not kind to me. And then I'm going to make it your problem.
Mhm.
Like you would think that at a men's conference that would be the first thing. And you know what it reminds me of, Jesse? It reminds me of something that we talk about all the time. That wouldn't sell tickets.
No,
That
guys aren't
wouldn't
buying
sell
that.
tickets. guys wouldn't spend the money to have somebody tell them all the problems that you're having right now in your business, your marriage, your walk with Christ, they're your responsibility. Like, who goes to a church where the members walk in and the preacher just cracks open the Bible and starts reading it and then starts convicting everybody of all of what's going. Nobody does that because that doesn't sell. That'd be the worst church in the country. Nobody would go to that church. We go because we want to hear like the really nice, like, loving idea of who Jesus is, and that's just not the case. And men, we wanna project outward onto everybody, and what we don't understand is that as men, we're control freaks, most of us. But by taking the responsibility and putting it on somebody else, you're actually giving up control of the situation, and you don't even know it. Because if we thought, Jesse, if we like, you and I both know this, the tone and temperature of the house is set by us. So that means we are in control. So if I walk into a room and I'm a total dickbag to my wife and kids, and she responds to me in a certain way, whose responsibility is that?
There's
It's mine. That's mine. Now, that's the easy way, right? That's the easy thing. Like most men would say, yeah, well, if you walk into a room and you're a dick, like, I mean, of course, right? Like, bleh. Let's go a layer deeper. Let's say for 3 years, you put all of the responsibility of running the house on your wife. You're not necessarily a dick in every room you walk into, but you just slowly start adding on to her. What are you take your responsibility and you put it on her, and you enter into a room and you're not a dick, and you get a snarky response from your wife. That's where guys think that the problem is their wife. I wasn't a dick.
mhm.
I just I just walked in and tried to fix something real quick, and she's going, "I've been fixing everything around here, and now you wanna walk in and fix this one thing? Where have you been the last 3 years?" There's friction, and they don't understand where it comes from.
I love the JaMarcus Russell analogy because there's a story that I hope every man has heard, and if you haven't, I'm gonna tell it really quick. Their head coach gave JaMarcus Russell a tape and said, "I want you to review all of our plays, let us know what your favorite are." And when he comes in, and this is what husbands do, this is literally what husbands do, go, "Hey, which were your favorite plays?" And he said, "All of them, coach, I loved all those plays." The tape was fucking blank. They knew he didn't look at it. So it's those husbands who are so passive, who are just like, she's gonna ask, will you do this? And you say, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna get to that, and you don't. Or she's making all the decisions because you're sitting on the sidelines. You're not actually reviewing the film, and she's testing you subconsciously to see, is he gonna fucking follow through with anything? And he doesn't. You're like, yeah, yeah,
Mm-mm.
yeah. No, I agree. I love that. That's the decision. And then those same men who are like, yeah, I love all those plays, all the decisions you made, honey. They're gonna be resentful because they're gonna be like, well, I didn't want to do that. I just did it because you wanted to do that. No, dude. What Adam and I are trying to tell you is every decision you make or the lack of a decision that you verbalize is still a decision and it's still on you. But too many men, they don't want to take that accountability. So, like you said, that does not sell.
Mm-mm.
Unfortunately, the accountability doesn't sell. The Adam was the one who failed his household, not Eve. That doesn't sell. The amount of comments when I've talked about Adam and Eve and how sin came through Adam, the amount of men who are like, dude, it was Eve who sinned. I think that's the one thing that Paul got wrong in Timothy when he said sin entered through Adam. I bet you if we had an actual sit down with the kind of man Paul was, Paul would say, you know what? I think that's one thing I need to rewrite. It's the one
And
verse.
it's totally reasonable because smart people, when you give them new information, they go, wow, that's a lot of good information. I'm gonna change my opinion. Dumb people go, no, my opinion's right and yours is wrong, and I don't really care what you tell me. That's a retarded person does that, right? So if after the fact, 2,000 years later, we give Paul new information, Paul might go, I don't want to say probably. Paul could have said, I think I'd write that differently. I think knowing the state of man today, I would write that differently because, and I want to go back to something that you said, dude. It was like, we don't watch the film. We let our wives call the plays, and then we constantly want to audible the play. It's like, well, dude, you wouldn't have to audible the play. You could just call your own play, and your wife would go, "Thank you. I like that play. I don't know what that play means, but I think that you know what you're doing because that's your responsibility. So whatever play you just called, I don't know the coverage. Hell, I don't even know how many people are here, but I'm going to follow you and I'm going to do whatever it is that you say. See, we want to walk into the room with our wife and we give her all the responsibility and we tell her to make all these decisions. And then we want to walk in the room and go, hey, those decisions are stupid. We're going to do this instead. And then wonder why there's friction. Most men could never handle. They're making a decision and their wives go, hey, honey, what's that decision? Can you explain to me further? We would take that as an attack.
Mhm.
Are you
I
attacking my decision making? Yes, she is because she doesn't trust you.
Yeah, and there's 2 points I wanna make off that is, at one point, Adam and I, we were retarded, but then we grew out of that, and we did what's called a 180, where we realized we can't be retarded and close-minded, and we were open to other information because I wanted to change my wife and put the blame on her for fucking ever. That
100%. 10,
lady
10
needs
years.
to change. And then it was God who came to me and smacked me across the face and said, "Boy, you need to look in the mirror. You need to change." And that's when my whole world turned around, man, and I'm living the greatest life ever. 1,
And that's the
2
best. Oh, sorry. Go
no,
ahead. Go ahead.
but 2, here's something that I did not realize that my wife pointed out to me literally last week. We were talking about serving and how we serve one another. And I told her, I thought she outserved me. And she goes, "No, you outserved me." And I go, "How?" Okay. I'm like, I don't think so. The math in my head is that she outserves me. And she goes, "No, you've planned every one of our son's birthday parties the last couple of years. You pay for everything, you order everything. You know their shoe size." She goes, "I don't know their shoe size. You order all their shoes. You've signed them up for every sport they've ever been in, taken them to every practice they've ever been in. You do all these things for me." And then she just went on. And I was like, that just seems normal to me because I have 2 sons, that
Mhm.
that's what I should be doing for my sons and not offloading, and I didn't even think about it. To me, that was just a normal thing. My wife doesn't make a decision about, like, who their coach is, just signs them up willy-nilly for things, right? The birthday
There are
party.
so many moms that do. You coach, I coach. There are so many moms that are married that are bringing their kids to practice. And listen, I'm not taking a pot shot at dads that work their asses off that can't do that. So
Same,
please
same.
don't hear what I'm not saying. I'm talking to the apathetic dads who would rather go play pickleball with their buddies instead of be the one taking their sons to practice. And I only say that because I know that I have to experience that, right? So like I see these moms and they're just like, well, I just signed him up and I don't know. And like the kid has a baseball glove, like from, I don't even like you remember in Sandlot when the kid's playing the baseball with a plastic glove?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, I'm like, who's your dad? Like, we live in, for those of you that don't know, we live in like the baseball capital of America. I swear, I feel like this is like baseball heaven. Our high school team is ranked number 1 in the country. Like, don't show up with a plastic baseball glove. That is an extreme failure on the dad's part because the dad should be the one. Hey, I chose you as his coach because I know who you are. I know you're in this league and I fought to get my son on your team. What does he need to be prepared? Or, so I'm not even discounting the fact that the dad should know. You don't need to know all the nuance of baseball if you've never played. I get it. But like you should be the point of contact. If your wife is the sign up point of contact and the buy everything point of contact and the plan this point of contact, you're wrong. And I think what you're experiencing, dude, is that you didn't know that that was service.
No idea. And
You
she
just
listed it
thought,
as service.
yeah, because, but what you're doing is you're creating the brain space for her to nurture your sons when they need the nurturing, for her to just be in her feminine energy and really enjoy that place. The other problem that we do and we should touch on is that, like, this country has a role to play in why this is the way it is, because it's pushed on women this need to be in the workforce and this alpha woman and this you have to take on all this, and it's pitted husband against wife, and that's why at the core of everything Jesse and I ever communicate, it's this. This is the field manual, and if you're in this, then you can take your instruction from it and go, "Hey, babe, like, we're not doing that anymore. All right? We're not doing that anymore. Here's how we're going to operate. Here's the way that we're going to make things happen." And it's like, it's so foreign because not enough men are here, I think. Wouldn't you, for the guys that you coach, how many of them are fluent in this that come to you?
There's a decent amount, I'm gonna say a third of them are, but they're not familiar with implementation or what that looks like because they need to be walked through.
Mhm,
The
mhm,
2/3 are not, their wife is the one who leads spiritually.
mhm,
They feel like, "Okay, she's leading spiritually, she's been wanting me to do this, so I need to get deeper in the Bible." It's like, dude, start reading every day, pray with her. Like,
mhm.
day 1, guess what? That's what you're signing up for. "Well, I don't have a Bible, just she does." Okay, go buy one. Buy a King James, ESV, or NIV. Just go buy one of those. Just find one. But the 1/3 that is in the Bible, they know their Bible. I feel for them because they've never even been amongst men who actually demonstrate and live it out, and they feel like the disciple in the Bible and not that Jesus is the example in the Bible, which I've always found hard, and I didn't realize that men interpret the Bible of like, I'm gonna view it for the lens of I'm a disciple and I'm gonna fail and fail and fail. They don't look at it because when I read it, I'm like, okay, I need to be like Jesus. If
Mhm.
we're called to be disciples, that means I'm a copy of him and a reflection of him. They look at it as I can act like the disciples, and that's okay. Not saying it's not, but we need to reframe our reading of he is what we should be called to be like. We don't need to be the guys in the boat in Mark 4:31 through 41, where you're scared that you're gonna die in the storm. We need to be like Jesus, who's calm, cool, and collective in the storm, and have our faith in him, not the disciples in full panic, anxiety, fear. And I thought that was interesting.
That's a really good point, distinguishing the fact that, like, the disciples are in scripture, but don't be like the disciples, be like Jesus. Jesus is the map. When you read what Jesus says to them, that's how you should communicate. That's how you should be calming your wife, you know? That's how you should be talking to your business partners or your children or whatever. And one thing too that I want to touch on is when we go back to the decision-making process, how amazing is it that because it's our responsibility, that means we can change it. That means so, like, guys, we outsource our responsibilities, and then it's like if you're a business owner and you're a contractor and you hire a trim carpenter and he's a really bad trim carpenter, you have to go back and, like, fix the work. When if you wanted it done right, you could have just done the trim carpentry yourself, and then you wouldn't have a problem. Now, I get it. That's a bad example in terms of scaling business, but when you wanna change something or you wanna give somebody an example, it better be coming from you. Most men that we coach, I can't even ask the men to tell me what the decisions are or how they're made. I actually need to get them out of the way, and I have to sit down with the wives because they're the trim carpenter that the husband hired, and she's not doing a very good job because she's not a man. She's doesn't know how to do some of this stuff, but she's trying. So I have to sit with her and go, "Can you tell me how the decision was made to sign your kid up for this or put him in that or do this?" Like, whatever friction point you guys are at to buy that car. Why'd you buy that car? Well, whatever. It's just the root point and the cause, and the thing that I'm trying to get at is, man, if you understand that the responsibility is yours, yes, short term it sucks because if there's chaos in your house, then you're the blame. But the long term good news is that because you're to blame, you're also going to be the one that turns it around. So so it's like when a quarterback sits down at the podium and there's a loss, he says, "That's my responsibility." When there's a
Mhm,
win, he says, "My wife was amazing. She's
mhm.
great. My kids are amazing." That's leadership. So you get your it's in your control. So if you don't like what's going on right now, good news is you get to change that. Bad news is short term, you're gonna have to eat a shit sandwich for a little bit, and that's fine. That's fine. Did you get to where you are without eating a Dookie sandwich, Jesse?
Well, I'm gonna take it a step further. No, I did not. I ate so many. And here's how many I was willing to eat. My wife literally looked me in the eyes at one point and said, "What if I never trust you again?" And I had to, you know what I said? "I'm willing to live the rest of our lives with you not trusting me because I believe one day when we're 100, you're gonna look at me and you're gonna be like, I guess I could have trusted you a whole lot sooner, but I trust you now." The point is, I was willing to take forever, the rest of our fucking life to earn that trust back. Too many
Facts.
men want it to be this short term, I've been great for a month. I should have her trust. But here's the thing, if we're truly having Christ be our leader and we're submitting to him, we're going to be committed to it forever because we're looking to him for our glory, not necessarily our wife, because I'm going to be in it. I'm going to pursue her. I'm going to lead. I'm going to do all the things that I'm called to do to my best ability. And that timeline is on her, between her and God, that I'm gonna earn that trust back and she's gonna forgive me. She literally told me, "What if I never?" And I was like, "Challenge accepted. I will
Right.
live the rest of my life earning it back through my reflection of Christ," right? Because if she's a reflection of me, then I'm a reflection of my relationship with him,
Yeah, and
right?
it's perfectly
It's that alignment.
reasonable. It's perfectly reasonable, I think, to like serve your wife out of spite for a moment. Like, all right, you don't think I can do this? I'll show you. Today, I'm gonna freaking do this, whether it kills me or not, right? It's okay to be like that. And I go back again to the first round draft analogy. The reason why there's friction is because your wife sees the completed version of you, much like the way God looks at you and goes, "Man, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? You're a failure. I see you as the winner. I see you as this mighty warrior. What do you mean you're scared? I see you as a fearless warrior," right? The way that God looks at you is the same way, and this is the Bible by Adam. There's nothing in scripture that says this, but that's the way that I think that my wife views me. And so when there's friction, it's because she sees me letting myself down. I'm I was a Green Beret, and she looks at me sometimes and or looked at me sometimes, and I know the thought crossed her mind like, "How the fuck was this guy a Green Beret? Like this guy can't even get out of his own way right now, and it's frustrating me because my marriage is falling apart because this guy is a joke. How is he the top of the top of the top of the food chain?" Right? So she sees me the way that I won't even see myself sometimes, and that's why there's friction. It's not because she's a nagging bitch. It's because when she looks at you, she sees this incredible first round pick, this freaking insane dude that she was willing to pay the contract. I'm going to pay the contract and I'm going to choose you number 1. Choose yourself. Be the first round draft pick. And all these men conferences dress up all the second and third order of effects, and they never confront the root cause. It's you, bro. It's you. It's not me. It's not her. It's not God. It's not your kids. It's not your shitty business partner. It's you and your poor decision making process. But the blessing in all this is if you can have a shitty decision making process, you can have a really good decision making process. You can have a good one. How
Yeah.
do you get there? Fall on your face before Christ, read the Bible every day, pray, and start acting like the Jesus that you read about instead of playing games. Stop playing church and actually have a relationship with Jesus and ask him, Jesus, I'm a bad decision maker. Clearly, look at my life. I'm taking an inventory right now. I'm not feeling bad for myself. I'm just doing an inventory and I made some bad decisions. Will you help me make better ones? Who prays that prayer? Who prays that prayer? Search my heart, God, and push to the front of the line all the things that I just keep wanting to stuff away so I can deal with them and confront them so that I can be the guy that I'm supposed to be that you created. Because, Jesse, God didn't mess up. So, like, when you took an inventory of your life, the last thing you may have done this, but the last thing you could have done justifiably is say, God, you fucked up. No, he didn't. You did.
I could
Because
have
look
had
at
a
the life you're living
Rolodex.
now.
Yeah,
But
I
look at
could
the proof is look at your life now. And God goes, see, that's what I was talking about. That guy right there.
yeah, I could
Same
have
for me.
found biblical reasons because she was an atheist, and it tells us, "Do not yoke to an unbeliever." I could have used that as an excuse to separate, but guess what? She's been baptized. I see her read her Bible every day,
Insane.
okay? He doesn't make mistakes, and I wanna be clear that when that there was not probably one there was maybe tops 1% spite when I told her I'm gonna do this forever because the good old Mark 10:45. Right? Serve. And then my favorite part is actually the second half. Give yourself as a ransom. For my
Mm-hmm.
family, I was giving myself a ransom. I don't care if I don't earn your trust because I know inside through him and my leadership, it will be earned over time. And I was willing to just put in that work. And too many guys want to throw in the towel because it's the easy thing temporarily and they don't look at the long-term picture that actually getting a divorce, living in misery with your wife, long term, that's the worst thing you can do.
But that's
Worst
also
thing.
why they're fat. That's also why they're fat because it's
Yeah.
hard. It's hard to
Well,
get up and work out. That's why they don't have any money because it's hard to say no to yourself and stop doing stupid shit with your money. I know. That was me, man. Like I don't care. I'll get naked. Like that was my problem. I would buy stuff. We didn't have any money and I would buy stuff to fill a hole in my heart because it was too hard to confront my own sin. Like that's too hard, dude. Okay, so just live the way that you're living. That was hard too. And the whole analogy, like choose your hard, like, yeah, I mean, that's so played out. Like, if you don't like what your situation is, then you need to take extreme ownership of the situation and know that it's your problem. And when it's your problem, that means you can fix it. If it was somebody else's problem, then that would mean that you would have to wait, hope, and pray and rely on somebody else doing shit in your life to make your life better. Would is that God's design? No. Like, why would I want that? As a guy, why would I want to pass responsibility off on everybody else? Because that would mean I have to change everybody else. Then my situation will get better. And good luck trying to change people. Good luck.
yeah,
You know,
I wonder where guys get this thing that they're beholden to someone else's authority and it's out of their control, everything that happens in their four walls, right? Their four walls. And they put the blame instead of realizing like they are the fix, like you said. And that's the thing that too many men don't get. We're telling you it's all your responsibility. It's all your fault. I'm telling you, you suck at being a husband. But the good thing is you have the full control and ability to change that entire thing in your four walls. 100%. It's on you. You have that. That was what I did. And the more that I grew, the more my wife grew. Because remember, just a couple of minutes ago, I said she was an atheist. Bro,
mhm.
she at one point also told me, "You will I hope you never think that you're gonna change me into being a believer." She told me that way before we even had kids, and I just was like, "Shit, that's on Jesus. I don't need
Well,
to be
but
that guy."
think about it. She
Yeah.
said that because every example of a guy who loved Jesus was that's a shitbag. Like that's one of the big things I struggle with guys I coach. They're like, I read my Bible every day, but my wife, like, she won't. And I think about it for a second and I'm like, I know you intimately enough because I'm coaching you. But if you could step outside the situation for a second and view you as a third party and watch yourself sit and read your Bible and then live the rest of your day. You're 15 minutes with your Bible. That's fantastic, bro. But now critique this guy for the rest of the day. And then you tell me if that is a good reason for somebody to go, man, I want to start reading what that guy's reading.
Yep. What's
Because
he drinking?
whatever, what's he drink most of the time, this is Christianity as a whole. Most of the time, I can look at a guy's life, we can do this, and then at the end of it, he goes, yeah, I don't think I would want to read the Bible after watching that guy live his day out the way that he did. Think about it. He gets up from reading his Bible, he picks his phone up, he starts looking at porn. Then he yells at his kids and screams at them for being kids. Then he forgets what his wife asked him to do, and he gets home and blames her. And, the dog shits all over the house because he didn't walk the dog. That's his responsibility. The trash stinks because he didn't take it out, and he missed trash day. And, the electric just got cut off because he didn't go in online and put auto pay on the bill and pay the bill, right? Like, would any wife see that guy and go, I want to start reading the Bible too? Hell no. Like, no, they wouldn't. So if you have a problem and your wife doesn't want to get on board with you and your ministry and your Bible reading and all this, it's probably because you're a shitbag.
Yeah, it reminds me of when I tell men in my one-on-one, pray with your wife every day. And then they come back, did you do it? No. Why? It it just isn't comfortable. It's awkward. I mean, I did it once and it was okay, right? And it's like, it's because your wife knows you're full of shit. That's why
100%.
you find it awkward. You know, she knows every area of your life. That's what Adam was really saying, is that your wife knows that you're full of shit, bro. That's the honest truth. That everything that Adam said in one nutshell right there, you're full of shit.
It's why everybody knows you're full of shit, though. It's why guys will scream on the internet about the Epstein file and 7 seconds later watch some 16-year-old trafficked girl get screwed by two dudes
Dude, you
on the
know how
same
you
on the
know how
same phone, by the way, that they were screaming about how Epstein list guys need to be hung in public. It's like, well, I mean, if that's what we're doing, then when are you lining up?
dude, you know how many guys I had comment on my carousel about lust? One of them was a pastor's husband, female pastor, her husband. Don't you put all your problems on all men, bro. And I'm like, this guy's
100%.
convicted. This guy's convicted. Otherwise, if you
100%.
genuinely were in a place where you didn't have a problem, you wouldn't feel the need to have commented. If you
A
genuinely
hundred.
were like, I have rid myself of lust, I have boundaries and protection in place, right? You wouldn't have needed to freak out on me in the comment section telling me that I'm putting my problem on you and
Right.
labeling all men deal with lust. I'm like, that shit's funny.
That's the funny part about social media. People don't understand that when they do that, they are broadcasting to the world what their problem is. Like, hey,
Yes.
thanks for telling the world that you struggle with lust. Not a big deal, bro, because so do I. You could just fall on your face and you could just humble yourself before the Lord that you say you follow. I don't have I have a problem with lust. Hey, like that's why I'm posting this. I want to make it known so that I can share with guys how I've managed to like have some breakthrough in it, right? Like that's why, like this is an aside, but that's why you and I do what we do on social media, because I'm trying to help men and I'm not trying to point fingers at guys. I've pointed the finger at myself enough that I can now, and I've taken measures to correct behavior so that now I can go back into the world and help other men. That's the thing. That's the missing link in this world today. When we look around and we go, how did we get here as a country? We got here because a generation of men have no biblical standard. They have no biblical standard, so they don't uphold that standard. Because if there were biblical standards, guys would go, what are you doing? What's that? Hey, and I don't mean on a grand scale, like you're not going to go convince the president of anything, but you know, you can convince your buddy that you golf with. that, hey, maybe you should stop watching that. Hey, maybe you should stop smoking that, or maybe you should, whatever it is, whatever you're convicted on. But we're not convicting anybody because we don't have biblical standards as men. So then it's just all a toss up. We
Well,
live by the world standard.
well, yeah, if so it's multiple generations in of Christian men, right? Multiple generations of Christian men who had no standards because there's something called the compound effect that's very real, right? There was a great psychology study that if someone in their household changes themselves for the better, improves their life just 10%, by default, everyone else in that same household improves their life by 3. Think about that. So if Christian men had a higher standard, everyone in their household is automatically going to improve. We wouldn't be in the position where we're relying on a single president to take care of Epstein files if, as a culture, 4 generations prior, we've had standards, but Christian men have sat on the sidelines forever. Christian men, man, they think passivity is a virtue.
Uh huh.
It's like, no, it's not. Right? They think this soft, just loving thing is a virtue when it's not. They don't want to have hard conversations, honest conversations. They don't want to tell anyone, I've pulled the speck out of my eye. So you got a fucking speck in your eye right now, and it's fucking ugly, dude. I can see the blood coming down your face and you're sucking on it in your mouth, like
Mm
because of that speck in your eye. They don't want to have those conversations. It drives me nuts because any single problem that we have politically could be fixed if Christian men had standards and taught their sons, and then their sons taught their sons. So it is up to us, but they want to sit on the sidelines. It drives me nuts because
hmm.
I
But
see it everywhere.
the other thing too, is that Christian men don't read their Bible. It's interesting because there are atheists out there that have read more scripture than like your average Christian,
I don't doubt
because
that.
they're reading it to be able to battle it.
Yeah,
Right?
combat it.
They're
Yeah.
reading it because they wanna read it as like a science experiment, and you've got Christian men that don't read the Bible, that willy-nilly just run around talking about, "Yeah, Israel, they're the chosen people, and no, we should just love everybody," and, like, "Yeah, I know that he's trans, but, like, we love him, so, like, he's accepted," and you know what? Like, yeah, Jesus does want everybody's heart. You know how the extent that he's willing to get everybody's heart? He's gonna crush a motherfucker. Like, he'll crush you. He'll decimate you into nothing so that you have nothing left. So you go, I am empty of everything. Now, God, please help me. That's how much you love you. Because again, going back to the standards thing, you're right. Like multiple generations of Christian men who don't read their Bibles, who don't walk with Christ, are sitting back and we're saying the same things. We should just love them, pray for them, accept them. You're welcome here. You're welcome here. You're welcome to change your life here. You're not welcome to bring your life as you live it here and then I'm going to just love you. No, no, no.
Mhm.
You're welcome here to then be taught the ways to change your life, right? Repentance is being honest with your sin and then changing. If you repent biblically, then you change.
Yes.
You repenting, soft Christian pastors will tell you repenting is, hey God, I'm really sorry for watching porn. Will you forgive me? I love you. Thanks for everything in my life. All right, I'll talk to you later.
Go Cowboys.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, and also, can you please help Florida State win this weekend? It's a really big game, and I want, it's 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 not it's wrong. It's wrong. And I don't blame pagan men. I blame
Same.
Christian men who are so afraid of me saying the word fuck. They're so appalled that I will say that 4-letter word, which by the way, I don't know who told you that's a bad word. Who told you that? Right? So they're appalled at that, but they're not appalled at the fact that they take all their responsibility and drop it on their wives and wonder why their wife is a little shitty to them sometimes. Because I'm more appalled at that. I, I wouldn't care 1 iota if a pastor reading the Bible from the pulpit said all the 4-letter words the whole time. You know what I'd be more appalled at is if he got off the pulpit, walked down around the corner, and I saw him interacting with his wife, and he was shitty to her.
Mhm.
That's what would drive me. I would say everything that you just said that you had me hook, line, and sinker on is now total bullshit because I watched you not be who you say you are. And that's the problem in society today. That's the problem with marriages and men not understanding that it's not what you say, it's what you do. And you can talk about your wife not respecting you, not being intimate with you, your kids not loving you and respecting you all you want. But the problem is that that's a byproduct of somebody else having to make your decisions. And you don't like that, but you don't like it enough to change. You just like it enough to bitch to all your buddies about. That's the problem. And if guys weren't such pussies, then we could put on a men's conference where we could say to you, hey, we're the first thing we're covering is just how jacked up and dicked up you are. And if you have the stomach for that, we'll see you at 9 o'clock.
Yeah. And that's the thing that they don't get because we would have to start. It's on you. And then we could go on. Here's the communication differences between us and our sexes. And
$100%.
here's this. But it has to start with everyone pull out the mirror. We got a mirror for everyone right under your chair. Everyone, guess what? You're gonna see who's the problem. Look at the fucking mirror.
Yep.
And
Yep.
every
Hey,
guy's gonna be
hey,
like, oh
men.
fuck, that sucks.
Yep. Yeah. I'm not paying 10 grand for this. Like, yeah, fine. Don't pay 10 grand to hear what the root cause is, but pay $50,000 in your divorce because that's what's happening. That's what's coming.
Let
And
another man raise your kids in that divorce.
right, right. Some weak ass dude, right? Like every guy will stand here and talk about how great they are, right? Well, if you're that great, then why would you want to pass the baton for some other guy raising your kids? Because that's what's going to happen. That's where it's heading. In realness, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Men will get into a conversation at a bar and go, "Man, Nick Saban's the fucking best, man. You wanna know why? Because he coaches those dudes hard. He doesn't let them get away with anything. He holds them to the standard, Bama standard, baby, and then literally walk out and have no standards. No standard, don't want anybody holding them to the fire. They don't want any accountability whatsoever. And then go Bama. Go Bama. Love Nick Saban. That's what, like, guys are so full of shit. It makes me want to, like, pull my hair out. It makes me
Yeah.
want to pull my hair out.
When we were talking about the societal rot, I bet you guys were pumped. Like, yeah, we Christians have to band together to prevent the societal rot. Men going into girls' bathrooms, men playing in women's sports. But those same dudes don't want to fix their own four walls because that's where it starts. That's where it starts,
You
right?
know why you have guys that want to take pisses in girls' bathrooms is because men had that home was broken in some way.
Mm,
Statistically,
yeah.
Are there outliers? Listen, I please save it. If you're gonna send me an email or a comment about how you did everything right and your son still turned out a certain way, I'm not gonna read it. So save yourself the time. I know there are anomalies, but there is data to suggest that you, man, you dad, the guy looking in the mirror, dropped the ball somewhere.
Mm,
Somewhere, right? You you missed somewhere. And that's the part that you're talking about. We were like, I'll stand at the door and not let one of those furry headed, purple headed Starbucks baristas into the bathroom to stand up and take a piss next to my daughter. You'll do that. But why not just go home and be a fucking man
mm,
and love your daughter
exactly.
and love your son and say, hey, guess what, guys? You want to know what a real man is? Watch this. I just fucked up to your mom, and you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna walk in there, follow me, and I'm gonna apologize. And I'm gonna ask if there's anything I can do to fix it. I'm gonna pay restitution. And I'm gonna love on your mom, and I'm gonna love on you guys after that's all done, and we're all gonna go out and eat dinner. You'd have a lot less purple-headed Starbucks baristas. That's my personal opinion.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the data is just so clear on everything. about that. Two-parent household dads loving their wives, okay, produce the most confident and emotionally stable children. But do you love your wife, or are you guys roommates? Are you guys that couple who, when your children leave the nest, gonna have once to love one another, but now you don't even know each other because you live through your kids? Because it's far easier to be a good father than a good husband, right? I saw a post the other day, hey, about to be a new dad. What's the number one piece of advice? Every fucking comment to me missed the mark, because the number one comment should have been love your wife unconditionally. Demonstrate that, because then you will be a great father if you can first be a great husband. It can't be the other way around. There's no such thing as a great father who isn't a good husband, at least. It can't be.
100%.
You can't. So
I
fix
agree.
your household, guys, because she's a reflection of you. Bringing it back to how we started, the way she communicates to you, her energy, her frumpiness, her lack of wanting to have sex with you, right? Her tone, the list goes on. It is, I swear, a reflection of you, no matter how hard that feels right now, because you may feel you're trying and you just don't know, right? I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. You don't know what you don't know, which is why Adam and I are sharing all the information, because me and
Mhm,
my wife, if you think of when we first started dating till now, is 15 years. And I've fucked up so much of that and learned. And I had to learn the hard way when on our first episode, I think, when I told Adam I didn't have an in person mentor, like he had an in person, I didn't have a mentor at all. So when I say in person, I mean, it wasn't a virtual, like if I were to work with Adam or someone were to work with me, I had none of that. So I had to like figure so much of it out. But you aren't gonna do that because it's hard. You know how many times I tripped and fell on my face because I was trying something new, trying something new, trying something new, reading secular book, reading secular book, reading secular book, and I had to take all that information, everything I learned for years because I was committed, right? When God told me to look in the mirror and my wife said, "I'll probably never trust you ever again." I was like, "Well, I have a really good relationship with God right now that I've just started. So I'm going to just focus on Him and do the best that I can. So I don't care if you don't trust me till we're 100. I'm going to just keep doing what I'm called to do." And I had to put it together, put it all biblically. Then I would just took everything secular I learned and put it in the Bible. And that reflection of my life started to slowly change. And I was like, holy shit, this shit is starting to work. I got to just keep
mhm,
going. And I didn't have anyone to bounce it off of, which is probably one of the, I don't know how I didn't fucking quit, to be honest. I don't know. There
mhm,
was times where I wanted to, I'm sure, wanted to be like, "Man, if we just go back to fighting, that actually just might be okay because I just don't know where to go from here. There's 8 forks
mhm.
in the road." But I had to just keep going, and it sucks. Sucks doing it by yourself. This is why the guys don't do it. That's why
Yep.
they don't.
I I totally agree, and, you know, most of the things that I hear from men that I coach is like, "I want respect from my wife." Okay, fair enough. Who doesn't want that?
Yeah, every guy.
I experienced my wife respecting me the moment I spent years respecting her, and that was with everything. It's not that look, one thing is I started recognizing a pattern in my kids. When they did something silly, they would come back to me and say, "Hey, dad, I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have done that. I'm sorry that I was like that to mom. I'm sorry." You want to know why they did that? Because that was pattern recognition. They saw me doing that to my wife. Okay, so take it a step further. There are times when my wife will come out and go, "Hey, I shouldn't, I should not have done that. I shouldn't have said that. I shouldn't have escalated the conversation." That's the respect you're looking for, guys, but you're not gonna ever get that if you don't know how to give that. And if you don't know how to give that, you need to keep listening to Jesse and I. You need to keep diving into content that we're making. You need to keep showing up to these podcasts. You need to contact us if you want to work with us. There are so many avenues. And look, maybe it's not us. Maybe you don't like my flavor. Maybe you don't like the fact that I say four-letter words that you said are cuss words. I don't know. Maybe not. That's fine. Not everybody likes me. Not everybody likes Jesse. It's not a big deal. I encourage you to just find somebody that you can plug into your corner, that you can say, "Hey, I don't know the way ahead, so I'm going to ask somebody that looks like they're coming back." All right. That's really all it is. And I think To put a bow on it, your results in your marriage are directly proportionate to the amount of effort and work you're willing to put in.
For sure.
If you don't wanna work, you don't wanna fix you, stop fixing everybody else because you're obviously a bad fixer. Doesn't that make sense? Like, you're saying to me that you won't fix yourself, but you're gonna try and fix your wife because she's the problem, and it's not working, and you might have to recognize that you're not very good at fixing people. The best practice you can get is by fixing yourself first,
Mhm.
all right? So, guys, I hope that this hits you in a good way. Hopefully, you take something away from it. I always want you to walk away from one of our conversations with, "Hey, I really like that. I can start doing that. I can start doing this." Always, first and foremost, submit to the will of Christ in your life. Pick your Bible up and start reading it every day. Let that be the first thing from every conversation that you hear Jesse and I have that you're going to implement right away. That's the number one tangible thing that you can start doing right now. It costs you nothing. You can download the Bible app for absolutely free and you can start reading the Bible every day. That's first and foremost. And if you'll just trust me and Jesse on that, if you'll just if you'll just out of spite if you have to read the Bible every day, man, I guarantee you your life will start to change. Then as you start adding things like listening to these podcasts and reading some secular books on how to do this and how to do that, it'll all start making a lot more sense because your guide is going to be Jesus. Read the red letters. How'd he talk? How'd he show up? How'd he move? What did he say? What'd he tell them over there to do? How did he treat that person? Use that as your barometer. Am I moving and shaking like Jesus? And if you don't know, pick this up and dive into it, and you'll start to figure that out. So, guys, thanks for being on with us. Thanks for the hour that you spent with us. As always, tune in on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get podcasts. The Ascent for Men's on there. And stay tuned. Check out either one of our socials. Check out the Ascent for Men on Instagram. Check out Jesse Carstairs or Adam Tyler Free on Instagram. And you're going to see more examples of what it is that we're talking about. And you're going to get to see some other ways on how you can plug in to the things that we're doing outside of just our socials, outside of just these podcasts and get kind of the mentorship that you may be looking for. So with that, man, have a great rest of your day, great rest of your weekend, whatever it is, whatever time it is you're listening to this, and we'll catch you next time.
Yeah, and depending on when you're listening to this, June 13th, we are having our summit. June 13th, 4 hours of Adam and I. We're going over identity. We're going over headship. We're going over manhood. We are going over community. We're doing a live Q&A at the end, and we have other perks depending on if you get our general admission or our VIP. Again, theascentformen.com is where you can find out all that information. June 13th, be there. See you guys.